It feels like the sort of quality you'd expect from a frame that's over twice the price. This is the latest and greatest Yoeleo G21 Altera, and it's the frame I'm going to be using for the biggest 3 weeks of gravel racing of my life, and I cannot wait to get started. Now, I've been racing on Yoeleo wheels for around a year now, and I've had some of my best ever results whilst riding on them. So when Yoeleo gave me the opportunity to race on their G21 Altera frame set, well, of course I said yes. Now, before we get started, they have sent the frame over for review, but I've not agreed to say anything in particular in this video. It's all gonna be my honest thoughts. Today, we're gonna be building up the frame, getting everything on the scales, and seeing just how good this build turns out. Let's get started. Now, whilst you might not think it's the most important thing in the world, one thing I've always rated from the Yoeleo products I've tried in the past has been the quality of their packaging. If this thing's going to survive the journey all the way from China, I hope it's been packaged up well. So here we go then. First look inside the Yoeleo box. And oh yes, as always, it's been packaged super well. We've got everything sort of laid out, strapped down in the box, you know, nothing's going anywhere in here. Decent instruction manual. This is a real instruction manual, not just like a QR code to a website. This actually explains all the hose routing, the headset spacers, not something you can take for granted with these Chinese frames. Of course, we've got the frame itself, but looking at the other accessories, we've got a nice box full of stuff here, all things like your frame storage, your headset, your hangers, all sorts of goodies in there. I really appreciate things like these tie-down straps. Not something you usually see even on more expensive frames. And this is the integrated handlebar that I've chosen. Now, I chose to get one of their flared integrated handlebars with a build, and this is looking proper smart here. Seat post, which fortunately is a standard round seat post, which means I can swap it out for my redshift post if I want to. It's got a nice solid looking clamping mechanism that actually looks rather similar to my Quick Pro, so that should be really secure. And it has a thinner bit towards the top, which I'm assuming is to allow for a little bit of flex and comfort. And then we are on to the frame set itself. And this paint job really does look the part. Wow, I love all this detailing on it. So smart. It uses a T47 bottom bracket, obviously a standard round seat post, fully integrated cable runs, and it has all these neat little storage compartments for snacks and spares. At the rear, we're using a UDH hanger, which is perfect for the group set I'm planning on running on this. And we've even got things like a bash guard underneath to protect yourself from stones, where you can also mount a spare third water bottle. But yeah, wow, this thing looks proper smart. And the final thing in the box, I guess, is the fork, which, similar to the frame, has this really cool paint job on it. I really like this design. I had no idea what it was going to look like in person when you look at it on the website. And the black paint has a bit of a sort of a glittery sparkle to it as well. So let's have a bit of a tidy up of all this packaging, and then we can get the frame on the scales and see what we're working with. So the bare frame, as it comes in the box with the little covers installed, bottle cage bolts, the bash guard and the dropout, but no through axle. Also, there are little plastic tubes for helping with my cable routing. And this time I'm going to defy my dyslexia and manage to read the scales correctly. 1.4 kilos. So by no means is this a light frame set, but it's built for being durable and gravel proof. And we've probably got a couple 100 grams of little accessories all installed. For example, I probably should take out the little bags. So trying again without the little bags, remember this has got a hanger included in the weight, 1.33, so a fairly respectable weight, but nothing groundbreaking. Now obviously it's got quite a fancy paint job on it, and yeah, it's not meant to be one of the lightest frames in the world. It's meant to be a complete versatile gravel machine. So hopefully that weight isn't going to be too much of an issue. Weighing the other components then, such as the bars, we're looking at 390 grams. The forks, we're looking at 490 grams. Then coming indoors for the kitchen scales to weigh the seat post, we're looking at just 172 grams. When it comes to included accessories, I really don't know where to start on this one. There are bags and bags of the stuff. So we've got headset spacers, compression ring, chain guard. Nice that they're all labelled. Some sponge tubes for stopping cables rattling. Front through axle, Di2 battery holder. Got one headset bearing, got the other headset bearing. Through axle, compression bung, spare UDH rear hanger. And they actually, I've already pinched it, but they did include a direct mount Shimano one as well. A little rubber cover for the seat post to stop water getting in the frame, all the accessories for the integrated out front mount, got a top cap, front derailleur hanger, little Di2 grommets if you're running Di2, and a big bag of screws. So whilst you'd be all bored out your mind if I weighed every single one of these components, I will get a couple of them on the scales. For example, one part I'm always interested in the weight of is the through axles. So for the Yoeleo, they're weighing in at just shy of 70 grams. Then I also want to take a bit more of a look at the computer mount. So it is a metal computer mount, and it seems really high quality actually. Setting this up, something really cool I've noticed is where the action cam bit mounts is actually further back, set back from where your computer is. Having the mount here provides a way better POV than having it all the way out here. And also it removes a lot of the vibration. You've got to think if it's out here, how much more of a lever that is compared to having it mounted back here. So something I really do appreciate from this design. So there we go, the full out front mount with action cam and Garmin holder together. Let's see what it weighs. 0 in the scales. 41 grams. The headset system looks pretty standard with a compression ring and then a bunch of split spacers that you can stack up to get the correct stack height. So next up, I want to have a little nosy around the fit and finish of the frame. Starting with the BB area, we can see that they have definitely faced it and removed any paint overspray from around the BB. However, there is a bit of a paint lip here, so I'm not sure if that will interfere with the BB. Being an internal T47, I think we should be all right here. And looking at the carbon you can see exposed inside the BB, it looks extremely clean. So that's always a good sign. At the rear, looking at the dropouts, again, because this is a painted frame, you can see little bits of remnants of the paint where it has been faced off and like they've clearly done a bit of cleaning up work to get rid of any oversprayed paint there. The brake mounts as well have clearly been faced, removing any paint overspray. Something you might be interested in is there are rear rack mounts on the frame, which is always nice to see if you're interested in touring. And the UDH is mounted nicely there, even though I will be taking this hanger off for the group set I'm running. Got loads of nice little cable covers for where your cable will be coming out if you're running a mechanical group set, and a nice blanking plate for if you're running one by. The nice thing about having these internal storages is it provides you a good little viewport inside the frame, and this carbon is looking incredibly clean. And you can see more of the same up in the top tube. Really, really smooth and clean there. Taking a look inside the headset, we've got more of the same, really nice quality. And again, pretty smooth around the headset with the paint clearly faced off around where the bearing's gonna sit. So first impressions of the quality of the frame, it seems really good, but you've got to remember this is a $1,400 frame set, so it really better be good quality if you ask me. So I think it's about time now we start getting this thing built up, but the exciting part is what group set is going on this bike. Now the next part of this build is something I am super excited to try. Yes, I am going to be running SRAM Rival E1 Explore. This will be my first time using any form of full mount rear derailleur and my first time trying the popular new E1 hood design. So I can't wait to get this cracked out of the box. Here we go, the new style SRAM shifters. I'm so excited to try these. Then we've got the rear mech, which I've already had a look at and weighed at times. And we've also got an E1 Rival cassette. And of course, SRAM Rival fits really nicely with the theme of the build, properly on brand. Not super light, but got the performance and super durable. So yeah, I can't wait to see just how well this thing performs. And yeah, it looks really smart actually. And I won't be using a SRAM chain set for this build. I'm sticking with the trusty Think Rider PP5 crankset. I really like this thing. I know the power meter on it's controversial, but I find for the sort of watts I'm doing gravel racing, this is perfect, and I just love the look of the cranks and the fact for less than 200 quid, I can get 165mm carbon cranks that are significantly lighter than SRAM Force and competitive with SRAM Red. And I'll probably be running a 44 tooth single narrow wide chainring up front. And these work really well with my SRAM BB as they use a dub aluminium axle. Right, let's see how well this BB threads in and if I can thread it in by hand. Yeah, it seems to be going in pretty smooth. Haven't needed to use the tool yet.
something I am really impressed with is just how much tyre clearance there is on this frame. Yeah, these are 2.1 inch Thunderbirds and there is plenty of clearance even if it is a muddy day on the rear. Like loads of room in that. And then at the front, absolutely tons of room as well, which is really nice to see.
In fact, I reckon if you want to, you could definitely squeeze a 2.2 Race King or the 2.25 version of the Thunderbird in here.
They only claim it can fit a 44 tooth, but I didn't have one of them spare, so this is the 46. And yeah, it is a bit tight for my liking with a standard length spindle, but with a wide spindle, that'll definitely clear fine. I mean, I'd race this. I don't think that's gonna flex into the frame, but I could see why you probably would want to use a 44 rather than a 46 on this frame. Obviously, a lot of that depends on the exact specs of your chain set. But yeah, so far, I mean, I'm still quite at a rough stage, not chop the steerer, not tape the bars, not even got a rotor on that front wheel, but it is looking super impressive and I'm really happy with how it's coming together. Slight little embarrassing mistake though, in ordering all the parts for this build, there was something I critically have forgotten to get. And as you might notice, there's no chain on the bike. So yeah, I've had to just emergency put an order in for a chain. Hopefully it'll arrive tomorrow, but yeah, what a stupid thing to do. Ordered every other part, everything else absolutely fine, except no chain. So yeah, I'll have to wait to get that tomorrow, hopefully, to be able to finish the build. Jumping forward in time with a little bit of editing magic, the build is now complete. And I think this build has come together better than I could have possibly imagined. Just all the parts are working so well together. And I think the sort of balancing of price points of the different components involved has been absolutely spot on. The SRAM Rival group set, the Yoeleo wheels and frame, and like the Think Rider crankset have all come together, and it's just a really well-rounded and balanced build in my opinion. And honestly, the best part is this paint job. It feels like the sort of quality you'd expect from a frame that's over twice the price. And also just the overall fit and finish of all the accessories and hardware and little bits of attention to detail Yoeleo have put into designing this frame, and all the little blanking plates and grommets and little bits like the Garmin mount just all complete the package and make this feel so much more premium than like a generic Chinese open mold frame you might get if you wanted to spend a little bit less money. So far, I've only got really two main sort of drawbacks or criticisms of this Yoeleo, and they are only minor points, but I think it's important to talk about them. First up being the internal frame storage. And whilst it's a really, really well implemented solution with these neat little bags that slide into the frame, I just don't think they are quick enough access to store any sort of race critical tools like, you know, tubeless plugs or a CO2 inflator that I need ready immediately. Now, could I put a few inner tubes in there? Well, this is where they are a little bit problematic because you can't really fit tubes in that well. You can with some really lightweight TPU tubes, but anything proper just doesn't really fit that well in a package like this. The only thing you really can successfully get in these is maybe a couple of gels, but even then they're difficult to get out, or maybe a few Allen keys or something like that. So all in, whilst it's a nice inclusion, and I don't think this is a particularly a Yoeleo issue, I think just generally, I'm not a fan of these frame storage bags. The thing I find most useful about internal frame storage is just having a hole to access the inside of the frame to make cable routing easier. And the only other thing I'm sort of not overly sold on is the handlebar options. Now, this isn't mission critical. These are an optional add-on, and you could just swap them out for whatever handlebars you prefer. But the range of different size options from Yoeleo is a little bit limited. I've got on here the closest to my preferred fit that is available. However, it's still 40mm wide at the hoods and a 110mm stem. And alongside that, there is also a really aggressive flare on the drops, which isn't a problem. But when you're someone like me who usually runs a 38 with a slight flare, these do feel extremely wide. In an ideal world, if I could create whatever bar I wanted, I'd go for a 120 stem and a 38 or possibly even a 36 given the flare. However, something I can't complain about is the quality really does seem pretty good. Now, another decision Yoeleo has made with this frame is to use a round seat post. And in my opinion, coming from the perspective of a gravel racer, it is a huge, huge benefit. I want to be able to run my Redshift Shockstop Pro seat post, and you just simply can't do it on a proprietary design. And also for those of you out there who want to run dropper posts,
this gives you full compatibility there as well. And just all in talking quality, I am so impressed with how well this frame has come out and how well the builds come together. And I'm actually really interested to see how it compares to my current race frame, which is a light carbon, which kind of sits in that price tier below this Yoeleo when it comes to Chinese gravel frames. So I won't keep you waiting any longer. Now it's time to throw this completed build on the scales. Full ready to race build with bottle cages, pedals and a power meter, clocking in at 8.78 kilos. So whilst that's by no means a super heavy build, it's definitely not the lightest bike in the world either, and probably honestly a little bit heavier than what I've been racing on previously. So I'll be really interested to see whether I notice that difference or not when it comes to racing. And now the build's done, I guess what you're all wanting to know is just how well does this bike race? And you're about to find out, because over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be putting this bike through the British National Gravel Champs, the European Gravel Champs, and the Greaen Cymru, all to find out whether this is a legit race bike or just a pretty paint job. So whilst that does mean you are going to have to wait a little bit to find out my opinions, if you want to see how it fares in a race scenario, make sure you do not miss any of those 3 videos coming pretty much each Monday for the next 3 weeks. And the best way to make sure you don't miss them is to whack that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. If you want to get one of these frames yourself, I will leave an affiliated link in the description below. And at the end of my big race campaign, I will be coming back with a full review on how I think this bike actually performs in the real world. So you definitely do not want to miss that one. And until the next one, I'll see you all soon.